Okay, welcome to our first episode of Southwest Airlines Open Enrollments. Today we're going to talk about Southwest Airlines disability insurance along with some programs that SWAPA offers as well. So what happens if we get sick? So let's talk about this real quickly. So let's pretend that I get sick or I lose my license. I go to the flight dock and they say, hey, you're done. You have a heart murmur or a heart problem or whatever. So basically, I'm on my own for 30 days like we talked about. So at that point, after the 30-day period, either my short-term A is going to pick up, or if I have short-term B, I'm still on my own until my sick time runs out. Okay, so in this situation, let's say we're on short-term A, that's going to pick up and pay you a maximum of $6,000 a month. Again, if you don't have any sick time, or if you only have less than 100 trips, you're going to have to go 5 months on $6,000. That's after tax money. So think about that. Hey, can I go 6 months on $6,000, or excuse me, 5 months on $6,000? That's the maximum. So that's something, again, you need to consider in your personal budget, a good consideration to have a little higher emergency fund. It's also the reason I like to have short-term A and more sick time. So if I have more sick time, then I can use my sick time however I choose on top of my short-term disability A. And most guys, girls, pilots that become disabled that do that, they might actually make more in those first few months as disabled pilots than they did before while they were flying. Kind of odd, but basically because you're not paying taxes, the chance could be that you make more. Okay? Yeah, let's talk about long-term disability first. That's going to kick in during the 7th month, I should say. Now, loss of license is going to kick in either the 6th month or after your artificial last day paid, ALDP, has expired. Okay, so in other words, it could be more than 6 months depending on how much sick time you have. Let me show an example of that because that's kind of confusing. But so this is a good example of when your loss of license would kick in. This person had about 800 sick trips. So what the company does, I'm not going to get into the weeds too much. If you have about 800 sick trips or whatever, you can take it and divide it by 95. That's, add your vacation in there, divide by 95. That's going to give you the amount of months approximately until loss of license starts. So in this example, loss of license started in month 9. That's very, very important because as we get older as pilots, the longer we've been here, the longer loss of license is going to last. It's half of your tenure at Southwest Airlines. If you've been here 20 years, you're going to get loss of license for 10 years. And if you have lots of sick time, it's going to be delayed a little bit, which is okay because you have long-term disability. So now there's one scenario I want to be very clear on. That is for a pilot that's 55 or older, probably closer to 60, might be more realistic. If you've been at Southwest a long time, your loss of license is going to last probably 10 years plus. So in other words, it's going to take you through retirement just on loss of license. So what some guys will think is, well, heck, loss of license, I'm going to get $11,500 until I retire. I'm not going to hardly get any long-term disability because long-term disability is offset by loss of license. The maximum you can get there between loss of license and long-term disability is $12,500. Okay, that's the maximum you can get. 66 2/3 of your pay, or $12,500 maximum. So what some guys will do is say, I'm going to cancel long-term disability because I'm not going to get anything but $1,000 for the most part. So the thing to watch out there for is if you have lots of sick time, you've got to watch out for the artificial last day of pay, ALDP, because there's going to be a period, like in this example, where loss of license starts in month 9, and for those 2 months, you get long-term disability. You get the full long-term disability amount. So maybe you can cancel long-term disability, save a couple $100s a month if you're late 50s, early 60s, but watch out for those couple of months when you could be getting full long-term disability because of artificial last day paid. That's confusing, I know, but give us a call. We'll help you go through these numbers But sometimes people, again, late 50s, early 60s, if you've been at Southwest a long time, it might make sense to not have long-term disability, but watch out for this caveat. And you may want to take the premium you're paying for long-term disability and pay extra voluntary loss of license to make up for that. So just use caution if you're thinking about that scenario. So let me go back to the question on the slide. Should I have short-term disability A or B? Again, my belief, my recommendation is if you have more than a couple hundred sick trips, you're better off with going short-term disability A, because it's a little more expensive, but it's better off. It gives you more flexibility because it's going to start after that 30 days no matter what, and then you can use your sick time as you see fit to spread it out over the next several months. And again, there's many scenarios there where if you have a decent amount of sick time, short-term disability A, you're probably going to make more than you did before you were disabled because it's tax-free. There's some other things we could talk about. I'll go through some common questions and answers real quick, but there's a lot more that we didn't cover, such as what if you're working pre-disability? What if you're working after you're disabled? A lot of people are disabled, they're never able to fly again for whatever reason, and they go get other jobs. So there's some things to think about there because your disability benefits could be cut back if that's your situation. Again, on the board here we have taxable or tax-free loss of license. I've covered that. I believe you should be tax-free loss of license if at all possible. How much voluntary loss of license is something we haven't talked about yet. This is where you have to take a moment to look at your budget, understand what it would be like if you became disabled and you only made $12,500. Now, I say only, but it just depends on how you're living. So let's say that was plenty for you to pay your bills and live like you're currently living. The one problem that you need to think about is, what about my retirement plan now? Because once your sick time runs out, you're not getting any more B fund, no more profit sharing matching. So there's essentially, you've gone from, some of you, $61,000 a year in retirement savings to zero once your sick time runs out. So it's good that you can pay your bills, it's good that you can continue to live, but if you're not close to retirement, that could be devastating to your retirement plan. That is why SWAPA came up with the voluntary loss of license. So again, look at your budget, see how much you can afford, and it's a great benefit. It goes for 5 years and can really allow you to continue saving some money towards retirement, but it's only for 5 years. So I recommend at least a couple $1,000s a month. That's what I have, or I've purchased in the voluntary loss of license. If you can do more, then do so. It'll just help you to continue saving for retirement, but each situation is very, very different there. Loss of license does offset long-term disability and short-term disability as well, so watch out for those. If you have a situation where you are getting short-term disability B and it starts late because you had a lot of sick time, and again, short-term disability B doesn't start till all your sick time is gone. Short-term disability B starts late. Your loss of license could also be going on simultaneously, and your short-term disability will be down to about $1,000 a month, and essentially you won't get that benefit because it's offset by loss of license. Again, that's confusing, I know, but it's a situation that could happen. So again, if you have a lot of sick time, get short-term disability A, not B, is the result there. We talked about the should I have long-term disability at age 55 or 60. We talked about the thing to watch out there for. It's something to consider, but make sure you crunch the numbers. Give us a call, we'll help you. We talked about artificial last day paid, that's the ALDP, and it's very significant, again, especially when you're considering when some of these benefits kick in and how they offset. Okay, we talked about another job. If you're disabled, there's some restrictions. If you're making a lot of money at another job before you're disabled, your disabilities could be offset because they're going to look at an average pay at Southwest, then they're going to deduct your other incomes possibly and calculate your disability off of that. So if you're working another job now at Southwest, then take that into consideration. And after you're disabled, they're also going to consider outside work. In other words, if you're making 80% or more of your pre-disability income, then your long-term disability could end. So something to think about there. Another question, a couple more questions. Should I upgrade to captain so I can lock in my disability, my higher disability benefits? Well, that used to be the case. However, a lot of first officers now are making upwards of $11,000, $12,000 a month. So their average or their maximum could also be $12,500. So it depends on what you're currently making as an FO. I'm not sure that I would upgrade just specifically to lock in a disability rate, especially if your income is already pretty high. How much sick time should we have? It depends on your situation. I'd say at a minimum, enough to cover that first month is obviously a minimum. The more you can have, the better. I say 600 would really provide you the first several months of your disability with a comfortable income, probably more than you're making pre-disability. This is the big one. What happens to my life insurance and health insurance if I'm disabled? This is not an easy answer, but it also goes back to this artificial last day paid that we've talked about a little bit already. So what happens is you become disabled, and then Southwest Airlines is going to take your sick time and your vacation. They're going to divide by 95. They're going to project that out however many months that is. Let's say it's 6 months. You had a lot of sick time, 6 months. At the end of that 6-month period, there's going to be a 120-day extension. At that time, two things are going to happen. One is with your health insurance. You will probably go on Cobra rates at that point. Okay, that's important because Cobra is a lot more expensive. So you're going to have to pay that Cobra rate up front. Now, the union will reimburse you for those Cobra rates. However, be ready. I've talked to people that were disabled. They had to fork out the money and then they were reimbursed. And that's not always so easy. Now you're on a fixed income, so think about that. Also, life insurance at the end of that same period, again, after the artificial last day paid and then 120-day extension, you are dropped from the group term life insurance policy. However, they are required to offer you either permanent life insurance or another form. So there will be some life insurance there for you. It may be permanent life insurance, which is more expensive. It may be a smaller death benefit. The lesson there is go out and get non-Southwest life insurance if you can. Okay, you don't need to get a ton, but it's always a great idea to have some non-Southwest life insurance. We talked about profit sharing and B fund. You do not get any profit sharing, matching, or B fund 401k if you're out of sick time. There's nothing there. And finally, which disability benefits are taxable? Hopefully none of them, but the only one that could be taxable is loss of license if you have that selection. So those are some just of the things that we wanted to cover real quickly today. I know that's a lot of information. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you've got confused there or if you have some more detailed questions, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, our information is on the slide. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for your feedback and have a great day.